What's up, everyone? How's it going? Welcome to today's market analysis. Nah, this ain't no market analysis. This is a pre-market analysis. Welcome to the pre-market analysis session for today. And let me just test that the stream and everything's working fine. And we'll dive straight into this. Give me 1 second as I continue to check. Working fine. And we'll dive. Is Powell still speaking? Alright, I guess it's chill. I just gotta remove the other idle stream.
Stop and Q buy. Stop and Q sell. Stop and Q sell.
Just making sure everything's working.
Ice for GS sell. Ice for GS sell. Sweep and Q buyers. Stop and Q buy. Ice for GS sell.
Alright, everything seems to be working. So now let's dive straight into this session. So first of all, we do want to double check the news. Alright, so I'm not seeing much here. Trump is speaking later today, and you do have Nike earnings later today as well. Just gonna keep that in mind, but only have a 5-minute interval at 9, and I don't think that's needed. So I don't think we're gonna use a 5-minute interval here today. Yeah, just maybe at 9. Yeah, I'll just take a 5-minute interval at 9, but other than that, it should be pretty fine. Okay, yeah. Now let's get into our charting. So as we expected, after that dip down, price did recover and we're still continuing that overall uptrend that we've been seeing. What I noticed is that price took out these highs and mark out everything that we can, but might be a bit difficult seeing as we now need to use the past data in order to indicate wherever we'll go. And I believe that we would have almost swept liquidity by now on the upside.
Stop and Q buy.
I'll just mark out the other ones just to be on the safe side of things. And there. I'm going on to lower time frames to see if there's any potential zones or anything else that I need to worry about. And as you can see, there is a 3-hour, which I do think would have got swept by now. Yep. I mean, we haven't swept completely above it, but I would not necessarily count on us actually following that zone, simply because if you take a look at Bookmap, we aren't seeing any major levels of absorption per se, but we'll just have to see how price reacts at that area. Because here it does look like buyers are trying to step in, but they're unable to break through. We see a large amount of buyers coming in here. Buyers did flush through, but they were unable to continue pushing through, so we came back down. But now buyers are able to push through. And there's nothing really stopping buyers. It's just that initial market open volatility, like usual. So I honestly don't think that 3 hour is going to stand as well as you may think it is. So there's that.
Iceberg and Q-cell. Stop and Q-cell. Stop and Q-cell. Stop and Q-cell. Stop and Q-cell. Sweep and Q-cell.
Alright, let's get back into this. But I don't think that 3 hour is necessarily going to stand. We're going to keep it there for the time being just to be on the safer side of things. But looking at how price has positioned itself, it looks as if we may potentially break out towards the upside. But I'm still watching carefully as we are seeing lots of volume here and a flush up and down without actual expansion. And that's typical with market open. But just watching for the time being and marking out our key levels, which we will validate using our volume analysis later on. 3 hour, not noticing much else. We do have this level below, but if we head all the way down there, I'll be quite surprised. 2 hour, do have this area and this area per se. I would not mark that as a 2 hour zone yet. And we do see in the 2 hour that we did make a flush down off of its highs, but I'm still watching carefully. So I would consider that as liquidity because it did close. So this 2 area is definitely going to be a key area price may want to head into. Let's see where it's at, 7.1 to 7. Yeah, so if you take a look at Bookmap, you can actually see liquidity being placed at between 7.3 and 7.5. So I will mark that out on our charts as well as Bookmap liquidity at the lower range of it, around 73.75 as Bookmap liquidity. So I want price, if it's going up, to head up into that Bookmap liquidity, not necessarily just this liquidity, because order flow liquidity is more precise and more. But if we take a look at Bookmap as well, we see more liquidity as well at 6155. So we will mark that level out as well. 6155, which is right here. So simply by looking at the chart, it's quite evident that price may not want to head down for the day. We have liquidity preventing price from going further down than there. But if price gets into this area and you see absorption, the long play would be really nice because that area would align with V2, I think, right? Wait. Yep, that area is aligning with our V2 levels. But I'm going to remove our V2 levels. I don't want too much lines on the chart. We just know that in our brain. But we see that occurring. We know that this liquidity has been swept but without any major reaction, so we can remove that as well. Now we're heading up, seeing how it will react here. Nothing I have to mark down there per se, but this is also quite interesting. If we take a look at our charts, as we came down, we took out this 1 hour liquidity and we flushed back towards the upside pretty aggressively, as you can see here. But since it's market open, we don't know the necessary validity of such, so we're just going to keep it there to see further reaction as needed. I'm going to remove this there. Let's go on 30-minute, and on 30-minute it does seem that this is a 30-minute zone, so we'll go ahead and mark that out. 30-minute. Now we're between a very tight range between our levels, which I don't like.
Stop and Q sell.
Nothing necessarily on the 15-minute per se. And 5-minute, we've just been in this choppy consolidation range. So I want to see where price will break out of this overnight range, because overnight we've been staying within this overall consolidation range, and now we've finally been able to get in some volume. And simply looking at how volume has been struck since 7:30, which I do believe is news liquidity. Hold on, there. 7:30 is news liquidity. So news liquidity does seem to have high impact, and with jobless claims being there as well, we can put extra emphasis on it. So I do want to go ahead and mark this as main liquidity as well. So there's two real reactions that I'm looking to see. I'm looking to see whether price will continue to go down, where we'll start to see expansion and a break. If we see that break towards the upside, I want to see price get into this bookmap level. If we start heading down and start making those barriers down, I would be happy to take a short into our bookmap liquidity or even this main news liquidity there. But if we hold and liquidity is very clear towards the upside and price is showing clear sentiment towards the upside, I'll take a long if we make a retracement into a barrier and see absorption. That's how I'm going to set up my day per se, and that's what I'm going to be looking for in the market session here today. That's simply just from ES. Now, let's go on to NQ and do our charting there to see if there's anything else that we can mark out and use for our advantage. So I'll go ahead and mark this out pretty quickly. And we'll go ahead and do our volume profile analysis as well, because we do not want to forget that. Okay, so this area is going to be a pretty significant 3-hour level. Not seeing much else there. We do have 3-hour here as well. There we go. We might have a key demand zone below as well. And this is the reason we mark out both ES and NQ, because you can work through both their technical analysis in unison to make more calculated and likely more probable plays as well. I'm not going to mark it quite yet because I want to see if there's one on a lower time frame. There doesn't seem to be. So I'll go ahead and mark this. And if you see liquidity at the area, I would be looking for setups, but we have to get down there first for us to make any conclusions. 3 hour, Not much else. We do have this area. You potentially could consider a 3-hour. We just didn't mark it on the 4-hour. That's going to be liquidity as at 7 to 8 time frame. That's overnight highs. Now we're coming down, and we've actually seen this expansion down on NQ. So although it may not look like it on ES, as you can see here, on ES it looks much more consolidated. On NQ, we do see that sellers have started to come in with strength, so that may position us in a seller bias. But once again, if we take a look at bookmap, we are within a choppy and blurry bookmap spread, so I will not be entering into any trades quite yet. But let's continue that NQ analysis. 30-minute, not seeing too much. 15-minute, nothing much. We do have a 15-minute supply zone here. Is there a 30-minute one? No, there wasn't. Yeah, so there's that. Now you've just been consolidated, sure. But after market open, we've continued to head towards the downside. So that's going to give me a potential insight into the market that's telling me price may want to head towards the downside. And if it does head towards the downside, that's completely fine. We have targets for price to head down towards, and from that area, we may be able to take a reversal play. Or we can take a retracement play into those levels. That's what I'm looking for. But let's do our volume profile analysis on a higher time frame. Let's start with the 1 hour, or perhaps even 30 minutes, just to see where most of the volume is being transacted within this range. And it's been distributed throughout. Let me go ahead and expand this onto there. Now, if you look at the overall plane of things recently, majority of volume has been below at this area, down by these liquidity levels, which may or may not mean that price may be attracted to those levels. Now, we do also have high volume node here that aligns pretty nicely with our bookmap liquidity. So that validates this area. And that validates these two liquidity levels. Additionally, there's nothing to invalidate this, so we will not remove that. Now we can continue to expand. Same thing, majority of volume is being transacted there. Now we'll expand even more. Volume down there, but that's out of our range. Now I want to go on to the 4 hour and mark until past. What we see is that price has been transacting more towards the downside, but we do have a big spurge of volume here at these highs. So I will expand this further, see if there's anything else, and as we expanded it further, we have more volume towards the upper side, especially those zones all the way there at the top. But yeah, I would not be too bearish today, but from what volume is showing us, if price would reverse or even make a larger size retracement, we know where it's going to go and we are able to catch on to such. But if price wants to continue going up, we'll take a look at that. Right when we said that, a big splurge of sellers came in on ES. Very aggressive selling. But if sellers came in, we would want them to come into our bookmap levels or perhaps these levels, and from those levels it's likely that price is going to recover and head to the upside. Overall, I'm expecting price to continue going towards the upside, but I am expecting a retracement down towards this area before we head up. If we do not see that, and we see barriers protecting this area significantly, I'll take a retracement into one of these barriers which I see proper confluence on footprint, and potentially take the longs into bookmap liquidity and upper liquidity, potentially even up to this level. But we'll have to see how price reacts, and that's how we're going to position our day. I am going to be removing this 3-hour zone because I don't see too much significance off of it anymore. But we swept that liquidity, came down, came back up, came down, came back up. We're showing that price is fighting at this area. We're trying to see who is in control, the buyers or the sellers. And if those sellers can show up and break through all this protection, then we can continue heading lower. But if they keep wicking like you're seeing here, buyers will be able to come in because all these sellers would have been exhausted. But that's how I'm going to play out my day, and I'll be waiting and watching attentively to see if any of these setups occur. But once again, if you take a look at bookmap now, it's really quite choppy and not the best that I would like to see. So once it clears up and once there's more pure analysis that can be brought from bookmap that I can potentially combine and use to make my setups valid, I'll go ahead and take advantage of that. But that's going to be all I have here for today. If you have any other questions, feel free to join the Discord server. The link is in the description down below. And if you want to take advantage of footprint and other tools like this, which I'm using for completely free just to start practicing, those resources will be in the link in the description down below as well. If you liked it, please interact with the video. But that's all I have here for today. I'll see you guys later today for the market analysis session. But again, that's all I have here for today.